Happy Friday, everybody. I am so glad to be here with you on Friday Mom Fails. And I have an important announcement to make. This is going to be the last Friday Mom Fails that I do on this business page. I'm actually going to be starting a Facebook group so that you can follow me there and you'll get exclusive content. And I'm really hoping to build a community for all of you working moms. And I'll still have my business page, of course, but I'm going to use that community as a place where I can share with you information and where we can all really collaborate with each other and just and support each other. So that's a big update. I'll touch on that later. As everybody is jumping on, if you can give me a comment if you're watching this live, that would be great. And if you're watching the replay, let me know that too. And also let me know where you are, where you're watching this from. I'm always interested in knowing where everybody is. I'm in Austin. It's beautiful today. It is going to be a great weekend in terms of weather. Everyone here is so excited, I know, to be able to wear jeans and not quite sweater weather yet, but we're getting closer by the day. Anyway, today I am going to be talking to you about probably something that even to this day I sometimes beat myself up about, and that is having sick kids. With my first daughter, it seemed like she was sick right out the gate. She had a milk soy protein intolerance, which meant that until we figured that out, she was super spitty, had really sad digestive troubles, and that kind of set the tone for her. She was so happy too when she was sick, and that made it even harder for us to tell. So this is my experience with having a kid who is a happy sick baby, and what it's like to go to well check appointments and have the doctor tell you that your kid isn't really well. So I'll start from the beginning. I went back to work at 14 weeks after having my first baby, and she went to daycare full time, and I was happy with the daycare. We trusted the caregivers, and like everybody said, she got sick a lot. And the poor thing had, I think she had 7 or 8 ear infections by the time that she was one. She had RSV when she was 8 months old. Um, she had to I mean, she was on every antibiotic under the sun for those ear infections. And usually they were not only single ear infections, they were double ear infections. And what was so interesting to me is that they didn't disrupt her sleep. And that is what I remember thinking would be the telltale sign. If my kids had an ear infection, they wouldn't sleep well. I mean, that's what the doctors would ask. So, this is how it would usually play out with her ear infections. We'd go to the doctor for a well check. Everything would be going well. I would be asking my questions, and then the doctor would look at her ears and say, "Has she been sleeping okay?" And I would say, "Yeah, she's been sleeping well. She's had kind of a runny nose." And we just, chalk that up to she's in daycare, it's cold season. And then the doctor would usually say, "Oh gosh, yeah, her ears are super red. She's got a lot of fluid in there. Oh, yeah, the other one looks infected too. We're going to get her on some antibiotics." And this is pretty much how every single well check would go. And I would leave those appointments feeling so defeated. Like, how did I not know that my baby was sick? Has she been in pain and I haven't been noticing? Has she been waking up and I haven't been realizing, even though I slept with the monitor, like literally right by my ear? And I had so much guilt about how often she was sick. And I really internalized it. And instead of remembering that I'm not a physician and that I haven't been trained in detecting ear infections, I didn't have an otoscope. I I knew when she was sick, like when she had a runny nose and things like that, and I took appropriate action. But I went down that path about, what could I be doing better? What could I be doing different? Maybe I shouldn't have gone back to work. This is my fault. She wouldn't be getting sick if she wasn't in daycare. I would compare her to my friends' kids who weren't in daycare and weren't getting sick as often. And I really took that guilt to heart. And then by that eighth ear infection, when our pediatrician decided enough, yeah, we're going to go to an ENT and get tubes, she met with an audiologist and had a hearing test, and her hearing was at 30%. It was as if she had sand and gravel in her ears. And that really made me feel guilty. Again, that whole slippery slope of why am I working? Why did I choose to go to daycare? How did I not know this? Should we have realized that when she wasn't, as verbal as some of the other kids, that it was actually because of her hearing? And I am here to tell you, moms, you are not to blame when your kids get sick. Um, I can look back on this now and I can see the other side of it. Like I said, no, I'm not a physician. Yes, I was in tune with my daughter's needs. Yes, she was a very happy baby, even when she was very sick. And my choice to go to work had nothing to do with her being sick. My other daughter hardly ever got sick, and we had the same thing: go to work, go to daycare. And so now, when I think back to those months that were so, so hard, and when I was putting so much blame on myself for her getting sick, I remember that my choice to go back to work was the choice that I made to support my family. It was a choice that I made to nurture my brain and to give me a sense of self outside of being my daughter's mom. And that her experience in daycare did not hurt her attachment to me. It didn't jeopardize or cause any challenges in our relationship. And you know what? Each year that she hit the next milestone, and when she was ready to go to school, she was so used to being around other kids and she had so many friends. And it's not to say she wouldn't have had that experience if I hadn't have gone back to work and put her in daycare. But that experience did help prepare her for each of the next steps in her life. So I know now that no, I didn't give her ear infections and it wasn't my fault that she got sick. But when I was in that moment, it was so difficult not to blame myself. So if you're there with making decisions about school and COVID 19, or you've got a new baby and you're trying to decide if you're going to put her in daycare, if you're going to hire a nanny, please remember that the decision you make is a decision for you and your family. It is nobody else's decision. And I can tell you that you cannot give your child an ear infection. So, if you ever feel any guilt for that, no, you are not capable of actually giving your child an ear infection. So that's how I turned my thoughts around about having a really sick kiddo. It is not easy. And if you're in the throes of that, especially with cold and flu season coming up, please know that you are not alone. So thanks for tuning in today. Before I sign off, I want to remind everybody that I am going to be creating a group. So we'll have a new community for this empowered mom, and that's where I will be going live from now on. And I also wanted to tell you about a new program that I am launching. It is called From Surviving to Thriving: Time Management for New Working Moms. I'm actually piloting it next week with a couple of complimentary mini coaching sessions. So if you're interested in one of those, definitely leave a comment or send me a message. And I'm super excited. I'm going to go into this in more detail in another post, but I have developed my ideal planning page. I love planners. I am a planner. I love writing and crossing things off. And I created a tool that I have been using for the past month and I have been loving it. It is called This Empowered Day. It's a planning page specifically for working moms. So if you're interested in learning more about that, also leave me a comment or send me a message. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And remember, you are not alone in this working mom world. Take care. Bye.